Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at a release from the DC Bombshells statue line that I've been really looking forward to. This is the Black Canary statue. Now, the DC Bombshells line takes women of the DC universe and reinterprets them as like classic pinup tropes, and we've had like fighter pilot bomber girls and Betty Page style stuff. I really dig this. This is like a 1940s pinup lounge singer, and I really think that this is the best one they've done so far. Now, let's take a closer look at her head, because I think they did a really great job sculpting this hair. First of all, they picked a really good style for her hair. I like the way it kind of curls out in the front like that. But all like the little twisted hair draping over her shoulders, I think not only does it look cool, but it's a lot of work for someone to sculpt. So I think they did a great job not only sculpting that, but painting like the two different tones of yellow being used. There's a darker and a lighter shade. But even just from this side, I think they did a great job sculpting it. Now we can take a closer look at her eyes, because I think one of the other things this series does really well is paint eyeballs well. I like the detail that they included on her her little eye makeup there, how it flares out, and her blue eyelid. But you can even see here just like how well they have a lot of personality into this paint. It's got a really cool look to it. Also, they did a great job on her lips, and the fact that they used such a wet kind of paint to create like a glossy wet look. I think the work on this head, even the ear is good. I mean, someone had to sculpt that little ear, and they could have sculpted the hair over the ear, but I really dig the work that went into this as far as a head sculpt goes. Even the flower looks nice. Speaking of paint, there are some elements you should be aware of if you're thinking about buying this statue. I picked this up at Corner Store Comics where I pre-ordered it, but they had one on display and I compared the two. One thing worth noting is the bra. Not to be a perv or nothing, but I did see one where the black paint kind of bled past where the bra paint should be and onto where her skin should be. Also, her necklace. I saw one in the store where the little canary gold paint bled way past where the gold was. Also, her eyes. There is like a little subtle little pink lining that goes on the bottom of her eyelid, and on the other one that I saw, the lining went like way past the bottom of her eyelid. See that little pink line right there? It bled really high up into her eyeball. If you can take a look at these in store, be on the lookout for those elements, but for the most part, these turned out pretty good, I think. I think all the little buttons and the little like little slots where the button would go through. The fact that they painted those looks really good. The checkering on her shirt looks pretty nice, I'd say. One little detail that I really dig is her Oliver Queen tattoo. I think that's a really nice touch. Now let's take a look at her dress, because there is, you know, something worth noting here. The sculpting, where the fabric kind of bends. I like the fact that they sculpted that. Now the paint is all really good too. The buttons and her belt look fine. And I like they use like real like netting for her fishnets. That's a really nice little detail. So good job on that. Because they could have just painted that on. It would have been a pain in the ass. But also using real fishnet could have gone really poorly and looked really bad or bulky, or they could have just gotten it wrong. But I think this looks really good. Now another thing to note is the shoes. Like, I'm not really crazy about shoes, but I do think it's really cool that this little element right here has been painted on to the side there. The base is similar to all the other bases, and it's got the little placard on the front with the artwork of the DC Bombshell on it. And it's the same kind of metal grating that's been used on all the other ones. So I like that it's consistent with everything else. One of the things I like though is you don't have to assemble anything. It really does just come into the package ready to go. You don't have to attach the statue to anything. So that's nice. And here's a look at the back side of the figure. Literally, I just want to show you the details of the wrinkles of her skirt on this side. And you can see all the paint that went into the back of her shirt. I mean, a lot of detail went into this. I think this really is truly one of the best ones in the series. But more than anything, I really just dig the pose. I mean, it's a really striking pose. And they did a great job with her holding the mic and just like, you know, the sculpting of her hand. It may seem arbitrary, but I think a lot of thought went into like just the right attitude and pose. Even just like her hand here and like her finger just kind of ever so slightly pointing upward. One thing I had to take into account when buying this statue was the paint on the top of her fishnet stockings. As you can see here, it's a little gloppy and gross, and the other one on display in Corner Store Comics had a much better paint line. However, like I said, that one did not have as good of an eyeball and necklace and bra paint, so I went with this one. And I'm really glad that I did, because I think this is an excellent statue. I easily think this is the best one in the DC Bombshells line. Not just from like the quality of sculpt, but from like an art direction, creative standpoint, I think the design behind this is just fantastic. With her leg kind of kicked out, like her leg and hip swinging, the microphone stand, and like her arm out, you definitely get like an Elvis rockabilly vibe from this statue, and I think that's really appropriate for what they're going for. I just think this thing looks great. Between the paint and the sculpt, the creativity behind it, I just love this. Thanks for watching.